Our reading is from Kristen Neff. Compassion is, by definition, relational. Compassion literally means to suffer with, which implies a basic mutuality in the experience of suffering. The emotion of compassion springs from the recognition that the human experience is imperfect. Now is the time in our service when we take an offering. We know it is the gifts of all of us that help support our ability to thrive and gather. For those attending in person, we will pass the collection plate. Please use the envelope you'll find in the pew, write your name, and indicate if your offering is part of your pledge or is a donation. For those online, links and instructions will be posted in the chat. You can email us a check or donate through the PayPal giving page on our website. Please give as generously as you can. Our offerings will be gratefully received.
What would you think if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. What do I do when my love is away? Does it worry you to be alone? How do I feel by the end of the day? Are you sad because you're on your own? Ooh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Ooh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Ooh, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. Do you need anybody? I need somebody to love. Could it be anybody? I want somebody to love. Would you believe in a love at first sight? Yes, I'm certain that it happens all the time. What do you see when you're turning on the light? I can't tell you, but I know it's mine. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. I get by with a little help from my friends. Oh, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. Do you need anybody? I just need someone to love. Could it be anybody? I want somebody to love. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Yes, I get by with a little help from my friends. With a little help from my friends.
And now we have a moment to sing in your teal hymnal, 1053, How Could Anyone?
less than beautiful. How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
So today I have the pleasure of introducing our guest, Amanda Straniere, a lifelong Staten Islander and mom with deep roots in the Staten Island community. Currently the Regional and Community Affairs Specialist at Con Edison, she previously worked at the Development Management as the Development Management Manager for Staten Island Museum and Director of Tourism and Cultural Affairs at the Staten Island Borough President's Office. She serves on the board of Sundog Theater, is a representative on the Citizens Advisory Committee for Create NYC, and just this year she joined the CSI Foundation Board of Directors. I invited Amanda to speak here today after I encountered one of her Facebook posts last year. She wrote about a public moment where common decency seemed to be missing. The story and her thoughts on how we as individuals might do better highlights the importance of caring for others, whether that impulse comes from faith, ethical tradition, or just life experience. 2 of the 5 principles of Unitarian Universalism are the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and that we are called to treat each other with justice, equity, and compassion. I think Amanda's experience serves to highlight those principles. Please give her a warm welcome.
Thank you, Robin, for that kind introduction and for inviting me here today. As Robin noted, late last year, I posted on Facebook about an upcoming incident. It had struck a chord with a lot of folks, including Robin, and she thought it was worth sharing here as a way to think about compassion, empathy, and the roles they play in our lives. I was really honored to be asked. I have fond memories of visiting this church as a teenager for coffee houses and open mics, but also worried because I was still stewing on the event and had not come to a place of resolution and learning. But in crafting these remarks, it really helped me to focus in on my feelings, where they were coming from, and help me process them. So another thanks are in order. In November, my daughter Abby and I visited her best friend in Florida. We had a wonderful trip, basically an extended play date, and after a few days, we said our goodbyes and made our way back home. After getting off the plane in Newark, Abby, who was 9 at the time, and I headed to the ladies' room. There was a line, of course, and as we made our way to the front, I saw that the first stall, the handicap stall, was cracked open and could hear the woman inside calling for help. No one was acknowledging her, so I asked what was wrong. She said there was someone with a wheelchair waiting for her outside. Could I get them? Could someone help her? We all heard her request, but no one was making a move. So Abby and I stepped off the line and looked around. I couldn't see anyone who was obviously waiting with a wheelchair, so I turned to the security guard who was right there because it's an airport and there was security everywhere, and told her there was a woman in the handicap stall looking for her companion. We went back in, past the line of women, and I told her someone was coming. And then I seethed and glared at everyone around me as security came in, accompanied by a porter with a wheelchair. As we left the restroom, I talked to Abby about what had happened. Someone was in distress, there was no risk in helping, and it took less than a minute. I explained that as she grows up, she will encounter moments when someone needs help, that she should consider her own safety, but there's probably always something she can do. Call 911, find a security guard, alert someone. I had a soupy mix of feelings. There was anger that all these women not only ignored cries for help, but then after hearing what kind of help was needed, did nothing. That they would let me, with my kid in tow, be the one to go find help. There was sadness that, is this what our society is coming to? Do we really have such disregard for each other? But what really hit me at my core was fear. There was fear that someday I might need help, that Abby might need help, that we will cry out and only to be ignored. I thought about Kitty Genovese, the 28-year-old woman who was murdered outside her Queens apartment building late one night in 1964. At the time, the newspapers reported that there had been more than 36 witnesses to the attack, people who had heard or seen it, and that none of them tried to help. Well, it was later found out that this was untrue. People had called the police. People had tried to scare the perpetrator away. The image of indifference, of callousness, latched into our psyche and gave rise to the theory of the bystander effect. That the more witnesses there are, the less likely it is for one of them to do something, that we will all assume someone else will step in to help. In my post on Facebook, I ranted into the internet void about the 20 bystanders who ignored a woman in need, and how I wasn't sure what to do with what I was feeling, the anger, the sadness, the fear. The responses from my friends fell into a few camps. There were the cynics, who were upset but not surprised. There were the ones who quoted Fred Rogers, "Look for the helpers," and pointed out that I didn't need to look for the helper because I was the helper. Then there were those who said people are afraid of being scammed or penalized for helping, that there is a fear of being hoodwinked, that our kindness and good nature will be taken advantage of or used against us, and that may prevent people from doing what they know is right and taking a chance in helping someone in need. And while there are certainly bad actors in society, people who want to do harm, who take advantage and bully, the choice to do good, to help, despite that knowledge and that risk, is an act of courage and reaffirmation of our better natures. One day when I was at the supermarket checkout, the guy in front of me commented that he was buying cold cuts and bread for a homeless man outside. The cashier said, "He's not homeless, he's always out there and has a place to live." You could see the hurt in the guy's face. He felt he had been tricked into caring. But then he shrugged and said, "Well, he still may be hungry." And in that moment, my heart glowed because it was a reminder that kindness isn't weakness. It's a rebellion against cynicism, the counterbalance to harm. That a good deed, a kind gesture, empathy for others is what makes us human and society possible. Scientist Lorna Tilley developed an idea called the bioarchaeology of care, that even in our most ancient of civilizations, there is evidence of humans helping each other. As a graduate student, Tilley studied a 4,000-year-old burial site in Vietnam. Most of the bodies were laid out straight, but one was curled in the fetal position. In examining the bones, they found that the vertebrae were fused together due to a congenital disease, and that in life, this young man was paralyzed. The paralysis would have set in during adolescence, leaving him unable to care for himself independently. Yet he lived another 10 years. This fledgling society, which survived by fishing and hunting, cared for this young man and helped him live his life. This is just one example. Throughout the world, there are evidence of our ancestors seeing the worth in their brethren, of their shared humanity, and providing profound care. It is in our very nature to help each other, even when it is of no benefit to ourselves, which is why it is so unnerving when compassion is absent. And yet we have all had times that we wish we had done more, had responded differently, had stepped in sooner. Seeing other people help serves as a reminder that we all, individually, have the ability to do small good things, to make a difference. When we take action to care, it ripples out. And so I am trying to turn away from the fear, the anger, and the sadness to grace, trying to make that the place where my feelings live. Society exists because we help each other. We see someone in need and recognize our shared humanity, their vulnerability, and our ability to assist, and we take action. And while we love the image of a superhero, any one of us has the power to extend kindness and save someone's day. Sometimes we need to be reminded of that power. And I hope that the other women in the restroom were reminded that they could have just as easily gotten help or been the person needing help. And that the next time there is a need, that they will become the helpers. I'd like to close by sharing a poem by Danusia Lemiris, Small Kindnesses. I first encountered it during the pandemic, and for me, it really captures the enormity of those small shared moments of compassion that keep society together. I've been thinking about the way when you walk down a crowded aisle, people pull in their legs to let you by, or how strangers will still say bless you when someone sneezes, a leftover from the bubonic plague. Don't die, we are saying. And sometimes when you spill lemons from your grocery bag, someone else will help you pick them up. Mostly we don't want to harm each other. We want to be handed our cup of coffee hot and to say thank you to the person handing it. To smile at them and for them to smile back. For the waitress to call us honey when she sets down a bowl of clam chowder, and for the driver in the red pickup truck to let us pass. We have so little of each other now, so far from tribe and fire. Only these brief moments of exchange. What if they are the true dwelling of the holy, these fleeting temples we make together when we say, here, have my seat. Go ahead, you first. I like your hat. Thank you for having me. It's been a real honor to speak here today.
Thank you, Amanda. It's good to be reminded that each of us has the capacity to really make a difference in someone else's life in seemingly small ways. And now we have the closing hymn with the UCSI Choir. Please join us in singing hymn number 121, We'll Build a Land, which is in the gray hymnal.
Please stand. We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness is also mourning. Oh, we'll build a promised land that can be. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land where we bring the good tidings to all the afflicted and all those who mourn, and give them garlands instead of ashes. Oh, we'll build a land where peace is born. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll be a land of ancient cities, raising devastation from old, restoring ruins of generations. Oh, we'll build a land of people so bold. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. Come build a land where the mantles of praises resound from spirits once faint and once weak, where like oaks of Christmas stand her people. Oh, come build the land, my people we seek. Come build the land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
We have come to the moment in our service where we will extinguish the chalice. I invite you to join me in extinguishing our chalice. You can find the acclamation in our order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. For these we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing words come from Deuteronomy 15:11. For there will never cease to be poor in the land. Therefore I command you, you shall open wide your hand to your brother, to the needy and to the poor in your land. Thank you, everybody. This ends our service. I hope that you will join us in Parish Hall for hospitality and some nice fresh coffee. Thank you.